for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got a couple voices here in the studio today. We've got Bob here with us, as always.
That's me over here with a really high squeaky voice.
Yep. And Kevin is joining us again.
Yep, hello.
Mr. Wilson.
Yep. And I think Kevin's going to be with us Tuesdays and Fridays, right? We're going to try
that's the tentative plan.
That's the tentative plan. So you guys can look forward to hearing Kevin's voice here Tuesdays and Fridays, subject to change without notice.
Yep.
So I tell you what, I was pretty surprised driving over here on the amount of snow that's just flying around, but now it's stopped. So
Squally. Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing pretty well in the snow department so far. I guess we've had a couple of feet.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
to date, season to date.
Yeah. So it's been, I think, just manageable enough. So hopefully it stays that way.
I've got to shovel my driveway. I don't have a snowblower, so I don't know about that.
Yeah,
manageable enough.
So I kind of I cheat a little bit. I park the cars as close to the end of the driveway as possible, so that there's only 2 feet that need to be shoveled to get into the street.
In the city, most of the time, though, the plow just crushes me in if I do that. We'll park to the end of the driveway, and suddenly there's 4 feet of snow at the end of the driveway, and I'm stuck. All right.
Plus, it's all packed in by the plow too, so it's all really heavy and hard to shovel.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a constant issue for me. What was worse is when I lived on Chilai Ave, and this is getting super local. All of our 19th warders who may or may not be listening, they would plow that street so often that it was just solid ice, because it would be plowed, salt, a little bit of melt, then more snow, plow, salt, mess. It just block of ice at the end of the driveway. It was impossible to penetrate. So I got a letter in the mail yesterday, which was interesting, and I opened it up. It was from the city tax assessor's office, and anybody who understands how the real estate market has been, kind of in general, but definitely in New York, or in Rochester, New York especially, houses are selling for way over asking price. The market's on fire.
My neighborhood's been nuts.
Yeah.
In the city too, people have been buying houses for twice what they were bought for only a few years ago.
Yep. Yeah. So of course,
actually, I think Rochester, it was ranked somewhere as the hottest residential real estate market in the nation.
Yeah. So things are flying all over the place. Things are selling for way more. And what does that mean? That means that when the city goes to look at property values, everything's worth a lot more all of a sudden, whether it is or it isn't.
They're seeing dollar signs.
Yep, they're seeing dollar signs. So this year, they did a reassessment, and I found it really interesting. And I want to talk about how property tax works. I want to talk about how the 2% cap works, because what I received from the city assessor's office actually makes sense, but when I say it, it's going to sound very confusing. So what the city said is, hey, we've raised your assessment $20,000. Now, mind you, we've done nothing special to the property besides cut the grass, keep it pretty well maintained.
You actually cut the grass?
Cut the grass,
Wow.
Every once in a while. Nobody's complained yet anyways. But we haven't done any remodels. We haven't replaced any windows, no new roof. nothing special on the property, no sheds or anything like that. Nothing that theoretically would raise the value of the property. The only thing raising the value is people are buying property for more. That's it. So our estimate went up $20,000 in the value of our property. I read the next line and it says, this means if this holds, they're estimating I will pay an additional negative $46. So
say what?
Exactly. Yep. So if you don't understand how property tax works and how the levy works, this is wildly confusing. Now, when I saw this, I was taken aback and I was like, so I know how this works. I think I understand how this happened. Let me pick up the phone and call the city assessor's office just to make sure so that I wasn't giving you guys like a load of crap, So sure enough, I pick up the phone and I call the city assessor's office and I can tell that everybody's calling, right? Because the city dispatcher answers the phone and, like the first thing they ask, do you want to talk to the tax office or the assessment office? It's like, okay, so a lot of people got this letter. Clearly, these are the phone calls they're going through all day. And so I explained to them the information I was looking for. They sent me to the assessor's office, and then the assessor's office sent me to somebody else who could answer the question. And they said, yes, this is true. This is accurate. This is our best estimate, assuming the tax levy does not change. So we're going to talk about what that means because that could be wildly different next year, depending on the budget. And they might look at that and decide that they're going to raise it. But essentially what happened in my area, and I'm sure this is happening in other parts of New York State as well, anybody that's got this goofy housing market thing happening and assessments happening at the same time, is they said on average, properties in the city this year were assessed at 18% higher than they were before.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big jump. And essentially, since there's a property tax cap, which I think we're going to probably talk about in more depth in the next segment, but since my property value didn't increase higher than 18%. They said basically if your property value increased around 12% or less, it would stay the same or possibly go down. So I'll kind of explain this for you guys real quick on what the levy is and this 2% property tax cap that Cuomo touts and all these other people tout is essentially the money they collect from property taxes cannot go above 2%. Now, the only thing I'm not sure is that year by year? Do either of you guys know if that's year by year?
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's year by year.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the annual levy. And so, but there is a way around that, as you know.
Yeah, so what happens is, and it's actually pretty cool. So before I talk about that, and I said it's pretty cool. It's actually not really cool. It's just different.
Devious is what it is.
Yeah, devious is maybe a better term for it. But they gave us this handy little frequently asked questions 2020 assessment guide. And so if this is frequently asked questions, I think it's really funny that some of the questions are, let me find it here. Obviously, how will my taxes be affected? But one of the top questions that's asked is, isn't reassessment just another way to raise taxes?
Let's see.
So
I'm going with yes on that.
So I'm gonna read to you guys what their answer is, and we'll talk about it. So their answer is no. Reassessment only determines how the tax levy is distributed among properties. Some properties see a tax increase, others see no change or a decrease.
Well, if that's the case, then it should be a wash, right? I mean, yours goes down $2,000, Kevin's goes up $2,000.
Exactly.
I don't think that happens that way.
Yeah. So then it goes on to say the tax levy is the total amount to be raised each year according to the city budget. It is not directly affected by reassessment. So then the next question is, what about the 2% cap? or the 2% tax cap that I've heard about. New York State did enact a property tax cap effective in 2012. It establishes a limit on the growth of property taxes to 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. And I want to talk about that on the next segment here. It is a cap on the tax levy or the total amount to be raised. It does not affect individual tax changes caused by reassessment. All right, guys. So there's a couple of things in there that we're going to have to talk about when we come back from the break. How would your assessment go up, but your taxes go down? What is this tax levy? And a couple other things. Also, I want to talk about that 2% versus inflation, because I think that's important to cover. So, guys, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We are the biggest towing company in New York State, but we do a lot more than just towing. We will tow just about anything, but we will also repair just about anything as well. We offer a courtesy shuttle and pickup. We offer a drop box service. We have all these amenities that we've put in place to make sure that every one of our customers can receive the best service possible. Please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best for 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York talking about the oddity of tax assessments, the tax levy, and the 2% increase cap on taxes, property taxes, specifically in New York State. So I want to explain this so that everybody kind of understands. But Kevin, you look like you want to jump in.
Let me tell you how I've always understood it. Okay. And when I discuss this with candidates too, in this past election, I've always understood this like, all right, here's what politicians are going to do. They're going to tell you that they're decreasing your tax rate. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm lowering taxes for you. Knowing that, property values are going to go up in the assessments, and then the tax levy will end up being higher in the end. And in fact, it became an issue in the Monroe County executive race, too, where the Democrat was accusing the Republican Cheryl D'Onofrio of raising taxes essentially, even though they were lowering the tax rate. They knew the assessment would go up, so they just lowered it just enough to look good, but not enough to actually change their budget. And that was the accusation, right? And that's how I criticized the Rochester mayor for the same thing. I was like, oh, no, they're not really decreasing taxes. They're just doing a workaround to try to look good. So what does my layman understanding of that mean in terms of what's actually happening?
So it's pretty close. I think that's a portion of it. So definitely, and to your point, especially with the Monroe County exec race, something I challenged them on was saying, hey, you said you cut the tax rate. That's great. Why are we collecting $11 million more then? You know, like if you've reduced the rate, why are we collecting $11 million more?
And I think their response was, well, the towns are the ones who do the reassessment. It's out of our hands. Can't do anything about it. Which maybe that's true.
So to an extent it is. So I guess the thing is, let me first explain what the levy is. So the levy is essentially how much of the budget is going to come from property tax. And so the property tax cap has nothing to do with your property, has nothing to do with my property, doesn't have anything to do with Bob's property or anybody else who might be listening to the show. The property tax cap is essentially on what the county or the city can use in their budget from property tax. So let's say real easy numbers. Say it was $100 last year. They can only collect $102 this year. Or if inflation is less, apparently they can only collect whichever is lower, which is interesting to me because as I read that, I thought, that could be like a really sneaky backdoor way to like make government smaller, because like if you set the rate to lower than inflation, then government can't keep up with inflation and it has to get smaller. Of course, that's not what they're doing. They're just like borrowing money, being irresponsible. They're not actually making government.
They'll still talk about it as a cut anyway, too.
Sure.
So like,
of course.
It's not really a cut. It's just not an increase.
Yeah. So that's what the levy is. I want to make sure everybody understands. The levy is essentially like how much they're allowed to put in the budget from property tax. So if it was $100 this year, $102 next year is what they could do. Now, what it doesn't mean is that my property tax can't go up 2%. If my property value went up 200%, I now essentially what happens is they take all the property values in the city or the town or the county, however they do it, they put them all in there, and you are assigned essentially a percentage of this budget or this levy based on how your house is valued compared to everybody else's. So the reason my house specifically increased in value by $20,000 yet saw a decrease in taxes was because many other people's property increased even more.
Oh no, I am terrified to get my letter now. Your property increased by $80,000.
Yeah. So whatever percentage, so if your property's value increased essentially like 12% or more, you're going to see an increase in your taxes. But if your property value increased 12% or less, it could stay the same or actually go down, because essentially your property value didn't increase enough to take more of a share of that levy. I know this is confusing. Like, this is really confusing. It's obnoxious. This would be so much easier if there wasn't property tax. I'll just jump right there.
Yeah, let's just go right to that.
And actually, Adam on Facebook commented in as well, saying, "Hey, if you have to pay a yearly tax indefinitely, you haven't bought it; you're renting it."
Yeah, and I've heard that from a lot of people. It's like, do you ever really own your property if every year you have to pay taxes?
Joe Belfast.
Don't pay your taxes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's an issue.
Property tax seizure.
Yep. Yep. So you never truly own your property. Sounds like Joe's on the line from Belfast.
Belfast, Allegheny County, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm tired of renting my property, too. That's considered what I've got. I was going to change the subject if I could and go on with a New York City gun problem that the Supreme Court's handling.
Oh, yeah. Do you have something specific about it, or just wanted to bring the case to light?
Evidently, they're going to allow them to carry concealed into other parts of the state with their premises permit. Hello.
Yep. So I'll just to kind of get people. Oh, are you there?
Joe, can you not hear us anymore?
Hello.
Oh, boy.
Well,
I think hey, Joe, call us back, and we'll try to reestablish the connection.
Yeah, and I'll try to respond to what I think he was bringing up as well. The kind of
Supreme Court case that's coming through with the weird, not quite enforced New York City gun law. Is that the one that it was?
It was being enforced until it went to Supreme Court, and they're like, "Oh, just kidding! Nope. We're going to repeal this now because we don't want to get a Supreme Court ruling that makes gun ownership more in line with the Second Amendment."
He's back.
So, Joe, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
There you are.
Welcome back, Joe.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if the rest of the state doesn't recognize their permits, they're going to be illegal for carrying outside the city because they don't recognize ours down there. And if the United States Senate ever gets the nationwide reciprocity bill on the floor, one thing they're going to have to do is fix that problem. So I'm kind of wondering, can somebody file an amicus curiae brief to get the Supreme Court to keep working on this and maybe consider the whole state?
Bob, that might be. I don't know what that is.
You're talking about the Joe. You're talking about the U.S. Supreme Court?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. It's a very crowded highway to get to the Supreme SCOTUS, as you know. I mean, they hear right now. I understand it's fewer than 70 cases a year. So, will that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They worked on that one on December 2nd, but I don't think they made a ruling yet.
Right. Well, you'd somehow have to get permission to get that, procedurally, to get that as part of the case that's under consideration, and obviously that would have to be introduced in, I would think, during argument, but probably a little late to try to include that.
Well, somebody from Rhode Island filed one that said that their new system was going to be more dangerous to the citizens, and their Supreme Court said no, it wouldn't, so they shot that one down. I don't know how they were able to get that in there, but...
Yeah, I think that's the answer to that. I think that right now probably the record is closed, and they're, considering how they're going to write their opinion. It's interesting because they say that typically the opinion on that case would be probably ready to go somewhere around April, but rumblings that we're hearing from SCOTUS are that it might come sooner, which is good news for gun rights advocates. If the opinion is coming faster, that's probably a positive indicator.
Weapons possession down there, the permit isn't considered at all. They haven't established a statistic to prove that we're a problem. If we're not a problem, we're innocent until proven guilty.
Well, we're always supposedly innocent until we're proven guilty. At least that's the theory.
Yeah, and I think you're maybe talking a little bit about two separate things here, because the case that's being held right now is the case of transporting a firearm when you have an on-premise permit. But I think what he's also trying to bring to light here is that your New York State pistol permit is not recognized in New York City,
right?
And that's a whole other issue, as well.
Yeah, that might be a tough one to go through Supreme Court because it's kind of a state issue too.
Yeah.
But I mean, not that it couldn't happen. Just it'd be interesting to bring up for sure. I'd love to see it.
Well, that would have to, the court would have to agree to hear it.
Yeah,
specifically on that issue, which they have not.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think the biggest fix we could get is just national reciprocity. Get people their Second Amendment rights back. Get you the opportunity to defend yourself, defend your home, defend your family, without the state's permission. I think that's
well. The problem
sounds like a plan to me.
It sounds like a great idea, but the problem is all the woke scolds out there will instantly go like crazy after somebody who proposes that.
Oh, sure. And they'll add a bunch of conditions on it, too.
Of course.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing.
Yeah. All the problems we have now, just more, essentially. So, all right, guys, we're going to take a break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we're going to talk about Uber. And for those of you who don't know, that's the rideshare, Uber and Lyft. We've got some fun stuff to talk about. So we'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Today, we're looking at scattered snow showers throughout the region. Highs in the mid-30s. Snow can turn to rain at times this afternoon. Then tonight, we'll continue to see scattered snow showers overnight tonight into tomorrow. Temperatures in the low to mid-20s. Highs on Saturday in the 20s. We do have a few flurries in the morning hours on Saturday, then a mix of sun and clouds by the afternoon hours. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
WYSL with a little food for thought. How do you walk 3,000 miles across Mexico without food or support and show up at our border 100 pounds overweight with a cell phone? Let that sink in.
In a recent study published in The Lancet, the authors conclude abortion does not cause suicide. Strangely, the authors found a 2.5-time risk increase of unsuccessful suicide both before abortion and after abortion. Taken together, that's a 5-time increase in suicide risk. Yet their conclusion is that abortion is not correlated to suicide. Upon reviewing the study, one scientist reportedly asks, so even if you conclude that abortion is not responsible for the attempt, does it not indicate that those seeking abortions are at risk for suicide already and should be referred for mental health counseling instead of getting an abortion? Even worse than the Lancet authors disputing their own research, they fail to address the existing body of medical research, finding a 3-fold increase in successful suicide after abortion compared to non-pregnant women. This Real Abortion News Update is sponsored by Compass Care. For a full transcript, go to realabortionnews.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, I'm Frank Alexander, owner of Alexander's Tree Farm in Dansville, and it's time to find your perfect Christmas tree. We have thousands of the finest ones in the area, and you will be pleasantly surprised by their high quality and their price. Any tree, any size, only $39.99. Yes, that's right, only $39.99. Your visit will be a wonderful family experience. There's wagon rides, hiking, and a Christmas shop with wreath making, and a working train and village, and the best popcorn you've ever tasted, all free. We're open weekends through Sunday, December 15th from 9 to 4. See you soon at Alexander's Tree Farm, 3654 Sterner Road, Dansville. Visit us at alexanderstreefarm.com or call 585-335-8282. 8282. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant with casual atmosphere at the newly renovated Rochester Public Market. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough, house-made fresh pasta, desserts, and gelato. Enjoy craft beers, imported Italian and New York State wines. Open Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Wednesday evenings enjoy no corkage fee, and Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705 for reservations. View the menu on the web, restaurantfiorella.com.
RochesterWorkTrucks.com. We sell
Last spot, and I'm talking to Brian O'Neill.
and have a shop open from 7 a.m. to 8
Will do.
Monday through Saturday, so you can get your truck fixed when it's not billing hours for you. Visit RochesterWorkTrucks.com.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York, just wrapping up the property tax discussion. Nate on Facebook says Allegheny County used to be one of, if not the top, highest property taxes versus home value in the entire nation. So in order to make this better, they just reassessed all the houses at a higher rate instead of lowering the tax burden.
There we go.
This is the trick that goes on in with this 2% cap, because whatever form of county legislature you have, whether it's a board of supervisors or whether it's a county ledge, they can with a certain vote they can exceed the property tax cap.
Yeah, they just declare an emergency.
Right.
Every year we have an emergency, and emergency raise the rates. That's Yes.
What a trick.
Magic way to get around.
But it's a win-win because, they get to say, well, we have to, it's a mandate from Albany. And Andy gets to say, well, the counties, that all they have to do is just keep their taxes under control and keep it under the 2% cap.
Yeah.
Like it's possible.
Yep.
And what a fun game we get to play.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think along with Allegheny County, I think he's right, actually. I think Allegheny County may still be like the highest in the state, which, of course, like I'm sure half the state is, ranked in the highest in the nation. But I think Niagara County and Orleans County.
Wayne was way up there, too.
Yeah. So there's certainly, some pretty high ones. Now, funny story, and I don't have the exact numbers here with me, but I did a show on it sometime last year and looked at the upstate property tax rates versus New York City's, and it was just painful. I mean, we'll look at like Monroe County. I think the rate was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3.5%. And you look at New York City, and it's like 0.5%, 0.25%, like way less. And of course, people immediately jump up and go, well, the property is just worth so much more down there. And it's like,
right?
Yeah, that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it right. It's not good either way. Speaking of not good things, I think Uber's in trouble.
Yeah. Uber released this report that did a survey of sexual assault reports related to the company, right? And this is something they've been under pressure to do for a long time. So they released this themselves. This wasn't done by an outside group. They decided to release these numbers, and they had comparisons for 2017 and 2018, so the last couple of years. And there were 6,000 sexual assaults that took place during Uber rides. So pretty significant numbers. So now a lot of people are talking about like Uber, like, is it safe to ride? Are they allowing this to happen? What are they doing about it? And I've heard from coworkers who are like, oh, look, Uber's unsafe now. I can't take it. I would never trust being able to take an Uber. Now, there's a couple things about this that you should make note of. First being that about half of these reports were passengers against drivers too, which doesn't make it any better.
So it's
not just drivers against passengers, even though that happens, more than is acceptable. But it's the other thing about it is Uber does something like 4 million rides a day. You have like a 0.00002% chance of something happening to you on an Uber ride. It's very, very small. It doesn't make the reality of what happens to those people any less frightening, but it is very, very rare that happens.
Yeah, it would be interesting too to see these. So Uber, in my opinion, did the right thing here. They came forward with transparency. You guys know I love transparency. I really push for transparency as the resolution to many of the issues we have. So Uber comes forward with this information. They're transparent about it. Now the public can possibly do something about it. Uber can do something about it. What I haven't seen is this type of data for public transit anywhere, or cab rides, or some of these other things. I'm sure maybe some places have published some, but it would be interesting to see a comparison to see, is there any statistical anomaly? Is this just the case with transportation regardless of how you take it? Or is Uber safer or more dangerous?
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering too when I was looking at these reports, right? Like, is riding in a cab, a licensed cab, safer? And the argument from the statist goes, like, oh, well, they're licensed there, so there's more vetting involved in this. Uber doesn't vet their drivers enough, so therefore they are less safe.
Has anybody who's seriously making this argument spent any time in a New York City cab?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, OMG.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're riding around with, you feel like you're riding around with a serial killer.
Yeah.
I mean, a significant portion of them don't speak English at all.
Sure.
And they're chattering away in, Arabic on some cell phone and screaming at pedestrians. And I have never, ever had an experience like that with Uber.
I've been in several New York City cabs, and it's really hit or miss, right? Some are fine, they're clean, they're great, they're very friendly. Others, it's like, oh man, I'm going to die on the way to my destination. Oh no.
Not making this up. I took a cab from Kennedy into Midtown Manhattan during the summer. This guy, of course, I'm sitting in the back, behind the partition. He had taken some dryer vent hose and had duct taped it to the air conditioning outlets on his dash and stuck it through the partition back to the rear compartment. So there's air conditioning.
So you have air conditioning and chloroform or whatever else he wants to pump through there.
Mustard gas.
Yeah, I would be pretty sketched out about that. And here's the thing: with Uber, I could at least leave a review about that.
You know what the driver's name is, what their car is, and you can rate them. And, you're able to say, like, oh, this was a bad experience, this is a good experience. You know the identity of the driver. When you're getting in, a cab, you don't always know. You have no idea who the driver is going to be. You could call the company and say you took a cab at this time. If something happens,
call the company.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if they answer.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
You find somebody who speaks English.
Yeah.
And then you have that experience of, I'm in a New York City taxi cab.
Yeah.
Look at that door handle. Should I really touch that without nitrile gloves?
Yeah, and that's the thing I'll say. I've ridden Uber, I've ridden Lyft. I've used, I think it's called Toro, where you can rent somebody's private car. A whole bunch of these services. And I've used cabs, and I've used cabs not just here in Rochester, but also in New York City, and actually in other countries even. And the Uber experience, by far, and by when I say Uber, I'm including Lyft, rideshare in general. I'm not saying specifically Uber. The experience where you, as the customer, have direct control over rating your experience and pushing that transparency out there has always been the cleanest, most comfortable, not shady experience for me. And
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
You get in a cab and you don't even know how much it is. The one guy tells you, "Oh, I think it's going to be $40," and then you get there and they're like, "Oh, it's $60," and what do you do? Get in a fight with them?
Yeah, it's like, all right, you're telling me it's $60 now. I guess I have to. Do I still tip on top of this?
No, definitely not. Yeah, they included the tip and whatever else in that.
Yeah. And again, all this isn't to downplay the seriousness of what happens with Uber driver, but I'm glad that Uber is being upfront about this information. Like I said, it's transparency. Yeah. And now, we have this data. There's a benchmark to say, okay, here's where we are. Uber can say what they're doing about it. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good thing. And I hope other ride sharing companies follow the same trend, because they do, I think, rightly sometimes get criticism for when a driver does something that makes someone feel unsafe or does something that's actually unsafe, because sometimes they get into accidents. Uber gets criticized for, as they should. And because they're subject to the market, people can vote with their dollars what ride-sharing company they want to trust with taking them safely to their destination. But if you have a monopoly on that service, like you do with many taxi cab companies,
Yeah.
Well, what do you?
Yeah. Yep. Who cares? Now, I do want to bring to attention two numbers on this report for us to just think about. 376 reports of unwanted kissing to the breast, buttocks, or mouth. And I'm just wondering what you're doing in an Uber that somebody is able to unwantedly kiss your buttocks.
I find that difficult.
Yeah. And then 594 reports of unwanted kissing to a different body part.
Yikes.
So that to me is kind of like, what are you doing in your Uber?
Drivers attempting to do that. You report them right away. You get them out.
Yep. And
or if a passenger's trying to do it, because I've heard stories from Uber drivers
I've heard from Uber drivers some horror stories about passengers they've picked up. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. All right, guys, we're going to take another break here. When we come back, I want to talk about more Uber. We're going to talk a little bit more about Uber.
More Uber kissing coming up, yes.
Yep. On Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a minute.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
This Christmas, go green, get real. Want to be good to the earth? Real Christmas trees benefit the environment. They are farmed sustainably, and when recycled, they are biodegradable. Real Christmas trees are grown locally. Get a real Christmas tree, fragrant and farm fresh, direct from the Christmas tree farmers of New York State. Find a cut-your-own-farm or pre-cut tree at www.christmastreesny.org. This Christmas, go green, get real. This message brought to you by the Christmas tree farmers of New York State. Online at christmastreesny.org.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovation.
Latest spot.
Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York.
Tell them who you are. You're Andrew Hollister, and he's
Andrew Hollister,
and he's Kevin Wilson.
I'm Kevin Wilson.
Yep. And that's Bob Savage.
I'm just here to twist the knobs.
There you go. Well, you're always contributing and in a good way. So.
Aw, shucks.
Yeah. So we're just talking about Uber, and while we were talking about Uber, I was surprised to hear that they're not profitable.
Yeah, no, they don't make any money. They make a ton of money, but they're not profitable.
For 4 million rides a day and they can't make money.
Only in the sense that I think for one quarter they were $6 billion in the hole.
Jeez.
It's not that bad.
So they have a plan to be profitable eventually.
Okay,
so one day they'll get there.
Maybe.
For now, they'll just ride that venture capital money into the sunset.
My question is, how do you stay in business losing money like that?
I don't know. Well, with the venture capitalist money, right?
Yeah,
That's got to be the only way.
Just keep giving them more money,
but
in
it's
the
not
hopes that it
free. There's interest. They want, those guys want their money back, right?
Yeah, well,
you think.
Depends. So sometimes they put in their money to just buy a share of ownership, right? And so they, if they were to ever sell or something like that, they get their money. Some people just like having a stake in a company. Like there's a lot of different ways. But yeah, you would think that the idea of putting money into something is to get more money out than you put in. I mean, there's
some of these big companies that, like, I don't think Lyft was profitable. I think Amazon, if it's profitable, it's barely profitable.
Well, that's just how they spend their money, though, because they're constantly they're just pushing it off each time.
Yeah, right. No, they just reinvest it and they do other things. I mean, that's what Uber's doing too, because they're investing in like the driverless cars and whatnot.
Sure.
And then they'll do things like they'll cut their profits so they could pay drivers more, recruit more drivers, and then they'll decide to pay their drivers less, and then Lyft will take all their drivers, and it was a back and forth thing.
Battle. Yeah.
I know Sirius XM was, they were a loser to the tune of almost $1 billion a year for years.
Yeah.
What was that? There's that movie company, that one that gave you the movie tickets. They went on a business now, but you could pay
Movie Pass.
Movie Pass, yeah, you could buy like $10 a month and you get unlimited movies. Turns out that was not profitable, and they eventually closed.
Well, I don't know if you guys know the story of, I think it's either UPS or FedEx. I'm pretty sure it's FedEx. Or no, UPS. This whole idea that you could deliver a package within a certain period of time anywhere in the United States. I mean, they had planes that were literally flying New York to California with one package on it. And something like a week before they were filing for bankruptcy, like, all of a sudden people started actually using it. Like, they were about to go under, sell all the planes, file bankruptcy, get rid of everything, and then the market took it on. So that's the
venture capitalist dream now. It's like, all right, we just got to dump a little bit more money into this.
And all flights, all domestic flights, and every package goes through Memphis.
No,
did you know that?
Yeah. No, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, if you FedEx something from Rochester to Buffalo, it goes through Memphis.
Really interesting. Huh.
I'm sure there's some logistics behind that where it makes sense, but I'm not going to claim to understand it.
Yeah. So, Kevin, you had something kind of fun for today. Do we have enough time to run through that?
We can run through a couple of these. So I want to do something a little bit of fun, and I wanted to read some headlines off, and I was going to ask you if you thought it was fake news or not. If this is a real news story or a fake news story, because I consume media obsessively. Like, I am constantly reading stuff, listening to stuff, and I know you focus in on like important stories and dive deep into those.
It's just like numbers.
Yeah, you do that. I read every crap article out there. But that also means I find some fun stuff. So
who determines if it's fake news or not?
I do. I'm the arbiter of fake news.
You're the arbiter. Okay.
Trust Kevin Wilson.
So Kevin's got a list of articles here, which I know nothing about, or presumably anyways. I haven't seen the list, and he's going to read them off, and we'll try to guess if they're fake news or not.
Okay. So here's the first one. Presidential candidate Andrew Yang had his supporters kneel before him while he squirted whipped cream in their mouths. Is that fake news or real news?
So this is actually real news, and I watched the video, so I'm cheating. I wish I didn't see it, but I did actually see the video on Twitter.
Yeah, he did do that. He sprayed whipped cream in the supporters of his in the mouths of his supporters.
They got down on their knees too.
Yeah,
it was a spectacle.
It's a real thing, y'all. Yep. Worth watching. I don't dislike him for it. I support Gary Johnson.
We're talking about him now, right?
So we're talking about him. He is very good at going viral. So, that is a real thing. Okay, here's another one.
So this is a quiz.
Well, I didn't expect to know anything on his list, so it just happened to be the first one. We'll see how it goes. Fake News Friday, I guess. Let's.
Yeah. So here's another one. President Trump backs out of a NATO conference after hearing world leaders making fun of him.
Oh, I know that one.
Do you?
Call on me. Call on me.
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
No, that's real.
Yeah, that's real.
I thought that was real. I was thinking that. Yeah.
That was a real one. You got Justin Trudeau. He was making fun of Trump, and not a great thing for a world leader to be caught on camera doing. And then, Trump backed out of it.
Yeah. Everywhere you are now, there's a camera and a microphone. Everywhere.
Yeah. So here's talking with
including in here. I just
he has a handful of them at least. Yeah.
Hot mics always. Another one is that, do you remember that viral news story that a Starbucks employee put pig on a Starbucks mug?
No, I don't.
Well, you don't know that
I
story.
Could imagine that
Bob knows that story.
Okay.
So there was counter articles going around that the police officer was the one who put that on the he had submitted a mobile order, and he was the one who put that on, so that the supervisor and the employee, the baristas who were fired for that incident, were fired wrongly because Starbucks overreacted.
I don't think so.
Is that a true or false story?
I think it's false.
I'm gonna go with that's not true. But
No, it's not true.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that's not true.
Yeah, a bunch of sites were sharing that, kind of like, the people who are critical of the police, and I started seeing as, all right, let me see if this is real or not. Nope, turns out that it really was the barista who put in the put pig on the thing.
I've heard of people putting their name as Christmas so that they had to say Christmas in the store and things like that.
So you can do that. Like you can do that. You can submit whatever name you want. It just wasn't the case in this one. In this case, it was someone in the store. It looks like they were the ones who did it.
Handwritten on there, wasn't it? I think.
No, this one they always handwrite them or no?
Sometimes they do. So and that's why the story started to go viral, because they printed it on there. Right? They didn't handwrite pig on there, so it was printed, but it was an in-store order. So you can see. So you
can put anything they want.
Be interesting if you jump on Snopes and see what Snopes does about that. If they
no, I did look at Snopes and I read it because I was looking because I was expecting to use that as one of my stories, and I was like, I was wrong about this because I took the wrong side, and I was like, I got sucked into the fake news.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. There was a art exhibit where a banana was duct taped to a wall that was sold for $120,000.
Oh, I feel like it sold for that or more, Kevin. I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
These days, I would say it's probably true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Man, how do I get into that?
I think you got to do it and then die, Kevin. I think that's how it works. You die, your art becomes worth something.
What's my, statement art? How can I do that?
Andrew, if we duct taped Kevin to the wall, think what we could get for that.
Oh yeah, there we go. Kevin, that's
as long as I get a cut, I'm fine with this. I know, I'm sure I can think of something.
Yeah. All right, you got one more for us? Or was that all?
No, I do have one more. Right. Chris Pratt apologizes for using plastic water bottle.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Did he apologize?
He did apologize.
He did? Okay.
Yeah, he was accused by Aquaman.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I saw that. I actually, to be honest, I thought that was a cool move. To be honest, I saw that and I was like, with all the political everything going on today and everybody's so divisive, like that was kind of like a fun thing almost to call somebody out on, instead of like some awful insult. It's like, hey, you're using a water bottle and I'm Aquaman. I don't like that.
I wasn't bothered by it. I thought it was interesting. I read so many headlines nowadays and I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. That can't be a thing.
I got one really quick. The Peloton TV ad, the husband, the guy who plays the husband for 6 seconds in that 30-second Peloton ad had been attacked on social media and had to apologize. Or defend himself.
I don't even know what that is. Or the wow.
Do you not live on Twitter, Andrew?
No, I don't. I'm gonna go with that it's angry. True because you both know about it.
Are angry, Andrew.
All right, there we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Radio Free New York. We'll be back with you on Monday.